there's maybe speculative behavior in even the best of stocks, Tesla, for instance, and then we have the GameStops of the world. What does it say about where we are at in this market that this is going on right now?
Yeah, I would say, look, the GameStop phenomenon is something I've never seen before in my 30 years in the markets, and certainly talking to others at GMO, including Jeremy Grantham. We've never seen, maybe this existed in the 20s with the pools that were pushing stocks around, but this is something new and weird. The kind of speculative enthusiasm of the Teslas of this world is an absolute echo and similar in scale to past bubbles. But as you were saying earlier, Tesla came out with earnings that were disappointing and the stock went down. The actual fundamentals of GameStop have nothing to do with what's going on with its stock. And that is something different and I think quite dangerous for the market, even apart from the speculative enthusiasm for companies that have shown some growth lately.
Right. Explain more about that to us, Ben, because we're hearing from a lot of, regular visitors to these programs saying, look, this is all going to end at some point. This is going to go away. And yet it doesn't seem like it is anytime soon. Now that they are restricted in their Robinhood movements, moderators are urging Canadians to buy. They're saying we Americans can't buy, Canadians buy until Friday. Next week we'll move to AMC. How are we supposed to think about this phenomenon?
Well, I mean, the important thing to realize is at the end of the day, GameStop will not be worth this much money, right? I mean, the price that GameStop stock is trading at has no bearing on the company involved. I desperately hope on behalf of the company that they are raising capital right now, at least paying down their debt, doing something useful with this. But this is a purely speculative, weird kind of dysfunction of the equity markets. The equity markets are there to provide price discovery. They're there to help the market understand what companies are worth and where we should be putting capital for its best use. What's going on with GameStop, what's going on probably with AMC, although there's a little bit more reality to it, is not what the market is supposed to do. The problem with it is, it's market dysfunction, but the reality is there are people who are going to wind up losing their life savings in this, and that is really sad. And I can understand a desire not to stop people from doing what they want, but people are going to be lulled into thinking that they can ride this tiger, and they are going to be the ones left holding the bag. It is not the short sellers who are going to wind up, losing their retirement savings in this. It is some retail investors. And the idea that GameStop will stay at these prices forever is absolutely impossible.
Right. So even if we accept that, and the folks posting videos on TikTok are not our guide in these things, we're going to look at folks like you and say, okay, the market feels overvalued. We still hear there's value to be had. It's not all the same market. There will be a rotation. So if we believe that parts of the market are overvalued, it didn't help much in March 2000 that there were some stocks with value, right? Cisco still has never recovered from that route. Where do you hide in a market like this?
Well, to be clear, I mean, Cisco was extraordinarily overvalued in March of 2000, and it's never made it up. You could have invested in plenty of stocks in March of 2000 and made good money relatively quickly. Like if you had bought REITs in March of 2000, you made a lot of money over the next couple of years. Even in a market rout, if there is stuff that was really left behind, it generally gets left behind in a good way in the collapse. We think in general, kind of boring value type companies have gotten left behind. 2020 was the worst year in history on a relative basis for value stocks. We think value stocks certainly deserve to outperform growth very considerably. If the market can somehow avoid falling sharply, they deserve to go up. And if the market does go down sharply, they deserve to outperform. So we're big fans of value here.
Yes, and Ben, in quote-unquote normal times, that would be very reasonable. But are you not a tiny bit tempted to say, well, we're in strange times, and, maybe I should just buy here and ride this up a little bit? Or if you were Gabe Plotkin, for example, and you had to stop yourself out of your huge short position and rescue your firm, would you not be tempted to stick it to the Redditors and buy some of what they're saying for a day or two?
Look, that is a purely speculative game. I don't know. I am not a very good speculator. I will freely admit, and I don't have any interest in speculating. Certainly, not on behalf of my clients. They've asked me to invest, to buy assets that I think are worth more than their price is. Playing that game is a very dangerous game, and maybe some people can do it well. I can't, and I have no urge to. I do think, insofar as you're going to be short of any overvalued stocks today, you have to do that recognizing extraordinarily weird things can happen. And certainly we do have some strategies where we do some shorting, and we make damn sure that extraordinary things are not going to cripple us the way that they have for some of the hedge funds that had large positions in some of these names.
What do you make of the moves here to try to dampen the speculation? And I mean, obviously, regulators haven't done anything out of the ordinary so far, other than the regular halts. But platforms that are prohibiting buying and selling in normal course, is that right? As somebody who participates in the market and wants, full volume of trade, when is that appropriate and when is it not?
Yeah, I think under almost any normal circumstances, you don't want to do that. You want to allow people to be able to, place their opinions. Like, I think Tesla is not worth $800 billion, but I think the market is better off for having the people who think it's worth the trillion or what have you, being able to buy, and I cannot participate if I don't want to. I think a situation like this, where it is very clear that the activity has nothing to do with the underlying companies, this is purely a speculative, manipulative game. There might not actually be a law against it. I don't know. I'm not an expert on securities law. But in essence, it is not behavior that a well-functioning stock market should have going on. It doesn't help anything. And there are people who are going to really lose a lot of money on it, and those are almost all small investors. So on behalf of kind of the society, I'm sympathetic to trying to shut it down, but trying to be as targeted as we can about what behavior is truly, maladaptive and should be shut down. It's a tough call to make.